Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning to one and all. Dear students, my hearty congratulations to you all for getting promotion from 9th to 10th standard. Today we are going to learn something about the basics of physics from first unit. What we are going to learn, let me explain you. Before that, I would like to say something and I would like to ask some question to you. Generally, this is an object. Yes, of course, it is a duster. How it is? If I ask you the shape, you will say as rectangle. But what is its status? Yes, its status is it is at rest. Suppose if I have a bicycle, if it is moving, what I can say? The object is moving. So in physics, object states is of two types. That is, one is at rest, another one is in motion. So motion means moving. Rest means the object will be at static stage. This at rest. So this is very important concept because to make anything to move from rest, an object which is at rest, if I want to make it move, I have to give a push. Of course, if a moving car is there, if I want to make it as rest here, I have to apply a brake. So however, I have to push or I have to pull, then only the object will come to rest or the object will start moving. This is the concept. So I have used two terms, one is push, another one is pull. This push or pull which makes or which changes the position, of an object is generally called it as force. Let me say again, force is nothing but a push or pull that changes the position of an object is termed it as force. So how? See, there is a boy, is a football. Imagine he is kicking. What will happen? That force will make the object, that is the ball, to move here. Suppose it is a goal, it reaches. How the ball which is at rest, now it started moving only by application of a force by a boy. Hope you understand. This is the simple definition of a force. So it is very simple. Now how force is measured? For example, that is mass is measured in kilogram. How much it is? 200 grams, like that is measured in kilogram. Similarly, force is also measured by a SI unit called Newton. This Newton is referred as N. So for just now I explained about definition of force as well as unit of force. So why it is Newton means it is named, this unit is named after the scientist called Sir Isaac Newton. Imagine this is an object. Now a force from left side, another force from left side. How force is measured? Force is measured in Newton. Very good. So let me give F1 and this is called F2. Suppose if I am giving here 5 Newton of force, another one is 10 Newton of force. So the object was initially at rest. Initially it was at rest. But after applying this force, this object moves because this 5 Newton and this 10 Newton, 15 Newton of force will act on it and it will make the object to move. Am I right or wrong? That is, it brings the object in motion. So what is the total force here? That force is called F net, or I can say the resultant force. The resultant force F net is given by F1 plus F2. Why I have added here means both the forces are acting on the same direction which is parallel to each other. So this force is called it as parallel force. That is like parallel force. So what is like parallel force? So two or more forces which is acting on the same direction parallel to each other. That is called it as like parallel force. What is the total force acting on it is given by a F net force, that is called resultant force F1 plus F2. See one more condition here. If you imagine like this. This is an object. Here this is F1, a force is acting here. F2. It is acting here. What will be its condition means it is initially at rest. Suppose this force is acting with a Newton of, that is a 5 Newton of force, and this force is of 10 Newton. What will happen? Yes, this object will start to move on the left side. This box will move on the left side. Why? Yes, F2 is greater than F1. So how the resultant force can be given like F net is equivalent to F2. The difference between this force and that force means both the forces are acting on the same direction. This is called like parallel force. But here the forces which is acting on the opposite side which is parallel to each other. So this force is called it as unlike parallel force. See here, this is an object. Here F1 and this is F2. Two unlike parallel forces acting here. If it is given by F, that is 5 Newton, and F2 is 5 Newton, what will happen? This object will try to move here due to that force, and the object will try to move by this force, but both are equal. So what will happen? F net is equivalent to 0 because both the forces are equal. So F2 minus F1 is 5 minus 5 is 0. Though it is unlike parallel force, but the resultant force is 0. So the object will be at rest. Initially it is also at rest. After the force acting on also rest. But here initially the object was at rest, but the force is different here means due to the greater force the object start to move here. But here if you see few forces are acting. Total net force is here 15 Newton and total net force is 30 Newton. The object will start moving based on the higher force. So unlike parallel force or like parallel force, whatever it may be, only the object will start in motion. The object will start to motion based on one important condition based on F net. If F net force is 0, that force is called it as balanced force. So there is no motion. That is, the object will be at rest. The net force which is equivalent to 0, that type of force is called balanced force. The net force which is not 0 and greater than 0, it is called it as unbalanced force. So in this video we learned about force. Force is a push or pull that changes or tend to change the position of an object. Next, how the forces are acting means forces may be acting on both the sides. If the same side the forces are acting, it is called parallel force. If the forces are acting in opposite direction, it is called unlike parallel force. So based on the net force, if the net force is equivalent to 0, it is called it as balanced force. There is no motion will take place. If the net force is greater than the 0, it is called it as unbalanced force. So definitely there will be a motion due to the net force.